Hello, a very good morning. You are very welcome along to Ireland AM on Virgin Media 1.
We did spend a long time discussing if we looked too much like we were in the army together this morning, and we just thought, let's go for it anyway.
Can't see us, we're in camouflage.
We're camouflage, we're hidden, we're here. It is Tuesday, the 11th of July. Here's what we've got coming up between now and 10.
We are obviously going to be discussing RTÉ, but also about Meta taking on Twitter with rival threads. We're going to be discussing the social media battle between Musk and Zuckerberg. That's coming up at 7:35.
Yeah, you're not meant to be able to get it in Ireland, but it logged on fairly lively. It was handy enough.
There's over 100 million people have subscribed to it already.
Yeah.
100 million. It's
Hopefully
incredible.
it'll be a nice place, but Facebook isn't such a nice place. Anyway, if you're also trying to reduce your children's screen time during the summer holidays, after 9, can you remember books?
I do.
You remember books? We're going to be talking about
read the kids' books all the time.
some of the best books for children, do you?
We do.
Are we getting onto Roald Dahl books at this stage?
Yeah, a bit scary maybe though.
They are scary.
Plus, we're going to be discovering some of Ireland's best kept secrets, perfect for any upcoming trips. That's
Lovely.
coming up at 9:45.
Let's see what else is happening this morning. It is over to the effervescent Alan Hughes. Hi.
Not at this time of the morning.
Yeah, all right. Now, later on in fashion, stylist Rob Condon has a selection of summer prints, both for the men and the women. And in the kitchen, listen to this. We're serving a burnt Basque cheesecake. What's that, you ask? I don't know. We're going to find out at 8:35. Now, Derek is set to give Don Conroy a run for his money this morning. Tell us more, Derek.
Al, I used to love Don Conroy growing up. He was one of my favourite artists on the telly growing up. I used to draw those owls after school. Anyway, out there this morning, guys, I cannot get over what a morning we have because we had plenty of heavy rain yesterday. Different start out this morning, plenty of bright spells to kickstart your Tuesday with showers on the west and into eastern areas later on today. But we're here in Portmarnock in North County Dublin this morning because it's all about painting en plein air. What are we doing, Catherine, this morning?
Oh, this stunning sunrise. The colours are amazing, especially after yesterday. So this is a lovely surprise, really lovely surprise.
All right, so we're going to be putting paint to canvas a little bit later on, and we'll see how we get on right across the morning. But for now, from all the ladies, say good morning to the ladies. Hello, ladies. Back to studio, guys. Right, let's get started, Catherine.
Morning, lady.
Isn't that absolutely gorgeous this morning after
Beautiful.
poor Derek had put up in the weather yesterday
On
as
his
well.
sports day.
And he's got his lovely bright shirt on this morning. Right, it is time now though to get our first news of the morning over to Cliodhna Russell.
Thanks, Tommy. Good morning. Ryan Tubridy and his agent Noel Kelly will face 6 hours of questioning about the pay scandal at the state broadcaster today. They will appear before the Public Accounts Committee this morning, followed by the Media Committee this afternoon. It comes ahead of a decision being taken about Tubridy's future with the station.
Ryan Tubridy is normally the one asking the questions, but today the spotlight will be on the detail of his answers at 2 Oireachtas committees. The under-pressure presenter at the centre of the RTÉ pay scandal will speak for the first time about how his earnings went under-declared for several years and how a commercial deal was guaranteed by the state broadcaster. His extraordinary appearance at the Public Accounts Committee this morning and the Media Committee this afternoon will be the most difficult of his career, his performance scrutinised by politicians and the public at large. Ryan Tubridy's agent Noel Kelly will also be in the hot seat for the hearings that will last 6 hours. Yesterday, RTÉ's new Director General Kevin Backhurst stood down the executive board and appointed an interim leadership team. It's hoped today's proceedings will go some way to close a shameful chapter in the state broadcaster's history. Trish Laverty, Virgin Media News.
And Virgin Media 1 will be broadcasting today's Oireachtas hearings featuring Ryan Tubridy and his agent Noel Kelly in news specials starting at 11 a.m. with the Public Accounts Committee, followed by the Media Committee hearing at 3 p.m. Claims made by a mother about a BBC presenter are rubbish, according to a lawyer representing the young person at the centre of the allegations. The BBC says it has received a letter from the lawyer of the young person denying the claims that a presenter paid for explicit photos of the teenager. Yesterday, the Metropolitan Police said there is no investigation at this time and further inquiries are taking place to determine if there's evidence of a criminal offence. A male presenter was suspended by the British broadcaster on Sunday, and the BBC says it's working to establish the facts. Lithuania is hosting a two-day NATO summit today. Russia's war in Ukraine will top the agenda when leaders meet. The controversial move by the US to provide cluster bombs to Ukraine will also be discussed, as well as the prospect of Ukraine joining the security alliance. Sweden's bid to become a member of NATO is also expected to be debated at the gathering. Bernardo's is calling for the introduction of a targeted approach for vulnerable children and families in Budget 2024. In their pre-budget submission, the children's charity is calling on the government to provide the poorest families and children with a decent standard of living. A recent survey in May of this year, commissioned by Bernardo's, found that almost 1/4 of parents are very worried about having enough money over the next 6 months to meet the needs of their children. Only 1 in 5 said they were not worried at all.
We compare 14 insurance quotes to get you the best deal. So choose chill and work smarter, not harder.
Thank you, Chair, and a very good morning. We're live here in Portmarnock Beach in North County Dublin. Right across the morning, it's all about painting on plein air over the next couple of hours. So grab your paints, grab your brushes, grab your canvas, and let's get creative over the next wee while. Anyway, let's take an opening look at weather together now with Martin Rigney on cameras. And I have to say, it's a really decent start here onto the East Coast following all that heavy rain. And boy, did it bucket down across some parts of the country out there yesterday. It was very heavy in places, but out there at the moment it is holding mainly dry and settled across the island. Those status yellow rain and thunderstorm warnings we saw yesterday have now lifted. Elsewhere we're seeing showers in across the northwest of Donegal and Derry, parts of South Kerry not escaping either now in that northwesterly airflow. Now right across today, in fact, once again it's that game of cat and mouse, those sunshine and showers, rain leaning on the heavy side the further east and south we go. Some heavier bursts in places, and elsewhere those winds picking up pace across today. Top temps a little bit fresher, a little bit cooler as well at 16 to 19 degrees. Finally then tonight, it looks like those showers dying off for a time. Once again though, we're going to see more rain build for those Atlantic coastal counties. That'll feed through into tomorrow morning with some patches of mist as we work our way into your Wednesday, with overnight lows there back to 9 to 13 degrees. So that's how it's shaping up here in a dry and settled Portmarnock in North County Dublin at the moment. We'll be back again live 7:35.
Chill Insurance work harder so you can work smarter. We compare 14 quotes to get you the best deal.
Good morning. It's time now to take a look at this morning's papers. You will be unsurprised at what is leading everything, starting with the Irish Times. Its headline: Tubridy's future on the line as presenter goes before Oireachtas. Director General Kevin Backhurst hopes for transparency and honesty from Ryan Tubridy and his agent Noel Kelly at today's Oireachtas hearings.
RTÉ staff now key to Tubridy's future as Star faces Dáil grilling. That's the front page of the Irish Independent. Mr Backhurst has said consideration will be given to the views of RTÉ staff and if they would be willing to work with Ryan Tubridy when commenting on his potential return.
The Sun similarly leads with Tubbs' late showdown.
The Examiner, the Mirror, the Daily Mail and the Star also lead with that same story this morning.
The Herald has a different story. It says Garda worker paid in cocaine for leaks. A former civilian employee of An Garda Síochána gave out information, including the location of Garda COVID-19 checkpoints, in return for cocaine, a court has heard.
We also have Ratty Televisha airing on that as well. Montrose canteen closed down over rodent activity.
Yes, you can make all the jokes you want in relation to that, should you want this morning. But we are going to talk about the RTÉ latest on the way. And we'd love to hear from you on this as we are chatting about it. We're going to be talking to one of the senators involved in the media committee, along with Andrea Gilligan. So what questions do you have and what do you make of this? Do you have things that you want Ryan to answer, or do you think that this should all be done with? 0896 111 111.
Also, that it will be broadcast live here on Virgin Media 1 from 11 and from 3 o'clock.
Getting in on the action.
We're going to be discussing it all after the break.
Welcome back. Now, unless you live under a rock, I think you know that later on this morning, Ryan Tubridy and his agent Noel Kelly are preparing to appear before the Public Accounts Committee and the Oireachtas Media Committee later on in the day at 3 o'clock.
It's going to be Incredible. Yeah, join us to discuss that and more. Our News Talk's Andrea Gilligan and Fianna Fáil Senator and member of the Oireachtas Media Committee. Malcolm Bird, good morning to you both. Malcolm, thank you so much for coming in, talk to us this morning. But Andrea, let's start with you. Kevin Backhurst, it was his first day in yesterday. He got off to a good start. What's the general consensus?
Yeah, he took over as the new Director General, as you mentioned, yesterday, and I suppose very much from the outset at 7 o'clock yesterday morning with the aim of restoring trust in the organisation. He sent out an email to staff, and then throughout the course of the day in various press conferences and interviews within RTÉ, he announced, I suppose he set out a stall effectively. And the very first thing he did was he announced that he was standing down the executive board, bringing in some new faces, out some old faces. So that, I suppose, was the first major change under Kevin Backhurst's tenure that we saw yesterday. He talked about that assisting in new governance. He talked about financial controls as well. A couple of different measures, I suppose. There's currently a new interim board in place with plans to then formally announce a new executive board within the future as well. But there's a couple of different things that were announced yesterday. He talked about the announcement of a register of interests for both staff and contractors, which is something that there's been a lot of discussion about over the course of the past 2.5 weeks as well. There's also going to be a review around pay and grades and staff roles too within the organisation. He talked about staff consultation and a staff survey as well. I suppose what became quite apparent in the early part of yesterday was that he was putting the staff within the organisation very much at the centre of this. I'm communicating with you, I'm in contact with you, and I want to get your views on various matters as part of the consultation. So
Did he mention anything about cuts, though? Did he mention anything about the spending that is going there in RTÉ? Well, he cut back.
Well, there had been no announcement yesterday by way of any major cuts or changes within the organisation and stuff. I suppose that perhaps will come under the banner of this review of pay and roles and grades, but certainly no indication to say that there's going to be any cutbacks as such within the organisation. But I've been quite conscious throughout many interviews he did, Tommy, yesterday around the spend within the organisation and questions asked of him by way of, will the structuring of the licence fee, commercial spend, has there been any dip in that through the organisation over the past 2.5 weeks? And obviously pay is a huge element of this story. I mean, the organisation has been coming with the handout asking of government on many times in recent months, so that will obviously form
it is a very big organisation, and it employs an awful lot of people and looking at those roles. But Malcolm, from your point of view, Kevin Backhurst, the brand new Director General, he is the guy who's in charge of the ship. He was the head of News and Current Affairs in 2012. He was also the interim Director General in 2016. So not that far long ago, just between Noel Curran and Dee Forbes. Does he have questions to answer about what he knew about what was going on behind the scenes? Because it seems like, these silos that are going on, no one knew anything that's going on. Are there questions to put to him?
Well, I think, first of all, yesterday Kevin Backhurst had a good day. It's his first day in his new job. I think the fact, as Andrea said, his first communication was with the staff. There's about 1,800 people employed in RTÉ. He wanted to let them know that he was on their side working for them. He then contacted those of us who were on the Oireachtas Media Committee to inform us about, what he was going to be telling staff. He's made very clear that there are going to be internal reorganisations. I think the fact that the executive board, which has been subject to a lot of the criticism about those silos, that was stood down yesterday. The register of interests, which is something I and a number of colleagues have been seeking for quite a while. The fact that is now going to be put in place, because
How long have you been looking for that?
So we've been assessing this on the Oireachtas Media Committee. We've been looking at future media over the last 3 years, and it's been one of the issues that we've raised around the role of influencers and so on. We certainly feel that if somebody is presenting or producing a programme or they're in a senior role within a broadcaster, and let's say they're doing a segment on the motoring industry, while at the same time they have a side deal with a car company, we think that we should know that as members of the public. Much the same way...
But do you not think we do? If they're hired as an influencer, they're putting stuff out there,
Not necessarily. I mean, nobody knew, for instance, about the side deal that Ryan Tubridy had with Renault. Yes, everyone knew Renault was sponsoring the Late Late Show, but didn't know that he had a personal engagement. So I think the register of interest
is a step forward. But does that really matter if he's a contractor? I mean, he's not RTÉ
No,
staff.
sorry, it does. If you're in a position whereby you are able to inform or influence public opinion. I think people are entitled to know. In France, it's now being required of influencers as well on social media, and I think we do need to know
and the BBC
that. I think
did
as a
it 10
consumer,
years ago. So why are we always so slow to react? Like, there's a big outrage of something that's being done. Like, where is the power and to compel RTE to do these things? Because you're the bosses, you're the people who are acting for us.
So I think, like everybody else, I mean, we were annoyed because we were misled, lied to by senior people in RTE around, the pay and conditions. It's very clear a lot of people in RTE didn't know what was going on. I think what we have seen, and this is, if you look at the response of the RTE authority, once they became aware, the board of RTE, of the problems, the new chair, Siobhán Rahalik, took strong action. In the case of the minister, she has now appointed 2 groups to go into RTE, one to look at the culture within the organisation, the other to look at some of the HR practices, as well as a forensic accountant to examine some of the financial issues that are emerging. I think we will see further pieces of the jigsaw about what has been going on provided to us, hopefully today, by Ryan Tubridy and Noel Kelly. We've still to hear from Dee Forbes, the former Director General, and Jim Jennings, who negotiated some of these side deals. And hopefully, once they're better, they'll be in a position to help us. But I think after this week, what's going to happen is that the Oireachtas committees, we've done our work. I think the committees have worked effectively. We're going to see the ministers' groups work over the summer. I think it's important that they come back as quickly as possible. There must be transparency, there must be accountability, but then there is the broader question around how we fund public sector broadcasting into the future.
With Ryan Tubridy and Noel Kelly coming up today, what do you expect to hear from them?
Well, I hope, and I think everybody does, that they fill in the gaps in this story. I think the questions that Ryan Tubridy has to answer is, his salary deal was well publicised. When the salaries of the top 10 presenters in RTÉ are publicised, everybody talks about it. Why did somebody not say, hang on, there is an underreporting of the salaries here? Who was responsible for allowing that to continue? And I think Ryan Tubridy needs to come out and kind of say what he knew at the time and why he didn't step up to the plate. I think also there is a question when others in RTE...
There are issues with all the salaries, with management salaries. We're seeing 69 people. Over 120 grand, people that we don't know. And it's like, well, what are you doing? It's not just the people who are in front of the
I think the classic case today, though, is just a very simple, specifically with regards to Ryan Tubridy and Noel Kelly, is who knew what and when. And that's what we need to get out of today. That needs to... I think Kevin Bankhurst was very clear yesterday when he said we need full transparency from Ryan Tubridy, and I certainly, my read of that is it's who knew what and when with regards to the undisclosed
And do you think that there are going to be people who are worried about what he's going to say?
Well, I don't know that they're going to be worried as such, but
inside the organisation.
I think it's critical, but I think it's critical that there is complete transparency. I mean, to be honest, Ryan Tubridy is an excellent broadcaster, but his career is on the line about his presentation
Ryan Tubridy's a sideshow in this whole thing. This is RTÉ and excessive spending by a semi-state body for years.
It is.
But you've just said that you feel that... you've had the wool pulled over your eyes. I mean, everybody knows watching RTE that the spending has been excessive over the last while. So the fact that you're only flagging this now is kind of a bit of a cover-up,
I disagree. I mean, the challenge is around, and you're right, the Ryan Tubridy issue is only a small part of the broader question about the culture that existed and about some of the excessive spending. And I think there had been concerns expressed for a long time around some of the salaries that were being paid. I think the bigger picture question we will need to, once we come through this process and that there is transparency and accountability on the parts of those responsible, is that question of the future of media in Ireland and that question about how do we fund public sector broadcasting. Because the reality is... the licence fee model, everybody knows, is not fit for purpose. We are going to have difficulties convincing people to pay. Advertising revenue isn't going to go up. So RTÉ is going to be in even more serious financial trouble come the end of the year.
And no confirmation yesterday around salary pay caps either. which I think came as some surprise to a lot of people.
That he would actually talk about issues like that. And we all know that even district judges now, and we heard last week from Judge Anthony Halpin inside the Dublin District Court saying that they're freeloaders and 169 people up in front of him for not paying their licence fee. And of course, it is a legal requirement to pay your licence fee, but there are going to be more and more issues with that coming forward.
I think the licence fee, though, it's an outdated form of tax, essentially. I mean,
I think there's only 4 countries in the EU who still do it. So listen, but this is different. RTÉ still, and maybe the Irish government just been a little bit slow in doing what a lot of the countries around Europe are doing. Listen, we'd love to get what you're thinking of it. 0896 111 111. You're going to be tuning in to the Oireachtas television later on. I think it's on in the pubs this morning. Malcolm Byrne, Fianna Fáil Senator, a member of the Oireachtas Media Committee. Look forward to seeing it later on. And Andrea Gilligan from News Talk, you're hanging around for the news later on. Alan, what's coming up next?
Well, Tommy, we're learning how Twitter's viability is hanging by a thread, literally. We're going to see you after this break. Now, all over Instagram, you may have seen your favourite celebs and influencers posting from Meta's latest social media app, Threads.
And it ain't no surprise that the text-based social media platform has not gone down very well with Twitter CEO Elon Musk. So join us to discuss is host for Tech's Sake podcast, Elaine Burke. Good morning to you, Elaine.
Good morning.
So yes, we've seen a lot of this all over social media. Twitter is been moving to Threads. So Mark Zuckerberg has opened up this new platform that's pretty much just a copy on Twitter, am I right?
Pretty much, yeah, and being sued because of it being so closely associated to Twitter.
Oh, really?
Oh, is he being sued?
Twitter. Well, they have threatened to sue.
Okay.
Alex Spiro, who is Elon Musk's lawyer, has written a letter to Meta, basically giving them a cease and desist. But they would have to prove that actual programming code from Twitter or intellectual property from Twitter was used in the build of Threads. But Meta is a business that runs social media platforms. They are perfectly capable of building this thing
their
themselves.
own stuff, yeah.
And it just that it does look an awful lot like Twitter. And if you do want to get a look at it, you can look at threads.net/@Zuck. Because we don't actually have access to the app just yet in the EU.
So a lot of because Elon Musk let go of a lot of his Twitter employees, did a lot of them go across to Meta? And is that his issue with this as well, that a lot of the people who've built this are former Twitter employees?
If you get rid of, I mean, more than half, I believe, of his staff is what he got rid of, they are going to get hired by other companies. That's something that's going to happen. And some of them did refuse to sign some of the agreements that were presented to them because of the way the firing process was handled. And Meta, like some other companies, did pick up Twitter employees, but a spokesperson for Meta has said that none of the Twitter employees were involved in the build of Threads.
In the setup of it. Now, it's available in the US and in the United Kingdom. Why is it not available in Europe? Are they going to roll it out there soon?
There are some suspicions here that the reason why Threads launched when it did was because it was literally days after a lot of rancor was spreading on Twitter because rate limits were introduced, which literally meant that people couldn't use Twitter. They were being stopped as they scrolled because they'd hit a rate limit. That's been claimed to be due to they wanted to stop data scraping on the platform, so bots kind of scanning the platform and scraping data from it. But it's also claimed that maybe they were just messing around with some tools they don't fully understand and kind of broke the platform in a way. So there's different rumours flying around about why they instituted a rate limit. But as that happened, it was announced that Threads was coming days later, and it's only available now, as you said, in the US, UK, and a number of other countries, because in the EU, Meta has now been labelled a gatekeeper in terms of digital tech under the Digital Markets Act in the EU.
Is this about obtaining information and stuff?
And it's also about sharing information across platforms and actually becoming kind of like a monopoly because of that platform. So the way Threads works, you can actually port over quite easily from Instagram. You link it to your Instagram account, it uses your Instagram handle, you can send an invite to all your Instagram followers to join you on Threads. And you actually can't delete Threads unless you just then decide to delete your entire Instagram account. That's something that's not allowed under the Digital Markets Act that Meta will have to be in compliance with sometime next year.
So will it never come into Europe then?
I think they plan to bring it out into Europe. They've not said that there's any issue that they're not trying to work around. It's just that in its current form, and it is an early days form, the version that's live now doesn't have direct messaging, doesn't have trending topics. You can't actually search for things. So it is actually nearly like a beta release that it looks like they accelerated because they wanted to capitalise on the
because it's got over 100 million sign-ups already, which is incredible, and that is just in the US and the UK.
Yeah.
But Whenever you're saying that they're fast forwarding it, like if you think of Twitter, Twitter's kind of gutter a lot of this stuff because some of the, obviously it's very good for news and keeping up to date on current affairs. But there's a lot of pretty hardline views by different people on it.
Yeah.
Is Threads going to be a little bit different? Is it going to be a little bit of a safer place to go?
It's still going to be the internet at the end of the day, and 100 million users, that's a lot of moderation needs already for a very early days platform. And it could be argued that Meta doesn't invest enough in the platforms it already has in terms of moderation.
So why would people move?
Well, I think it's just, you know, a bit of buzz, and also they came at the right time, right when people were really, really angry with what was going on at Twitter because of those rate limits and other decisions that have been made, such as you have to now log in just to view tweets. And people are just unhappy with Elon Musk at the helm of a product that they like because he is a very divisive figure as well. But I think there are very different attitudes across social platforms. You said yourself, Alan, at the start, a lot of celebrities and influencers have been encouraged to join Threads. They were in discussions with Meta even before the app launched.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the Instagram model with celebrity and influencers, whereas Twitter is very much a news-based model, like you said, Tommy. And news people and journalists are joining Threads and feeling like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. This isn't for me.
But I mean, look at if far-right groups are on Twitter, they're going to join this as well because they want their voices heard. So you can't stop them. So there is going to be, in the end, there'll be really no difference.
What they're trying to do is you don't actually have a chronological feed on Threads at the moment. It seems to be driven by an algorithm, and some people are finding that a bit hard to kind of navigate. But it seems to be that they are trying to engineer that the space looks a bit friendlier than Twitter and dampen things that are less favourable to show that the platform is a friendly alternative to Twitter.
It'll be interesting to see how it goes. Listen, another topic that just came up there was really interesting. Here in Ireland, obviously, there's big concerns about ChatGPT, particularly in schools and universities. But I gather there's a Latin American university has found a way that they're going to try and embrace ChatGPT. How will that work?
Yeah, so I suppose it would be led by different professors who are leading different courses or different course instructors. But yeah, a number of universities documented in the Irish Times in Chile, Brazil and Mexico are trying to lean in to the use of ChatGPT in university assignments, kind of talk to students about how to use it responsibly, how to use it well, so that it's not a case of that they're just asking ChatGPT to write assignments for them and submitting complete guff that they haven't checked through themselves.
Because this professor asked his 50 students, have you used it? And all 50 said yes. And he says, okay. But then he says, well, let's all do it together then, rather than you sneaking behind me back to do it. Let's embrace it and see what good we can get out of it.
Yeah, and it's changing how they assess the students as well, because maybe submitted, typed up assessments isn't the best way when they can use ChatGPT to kind of form around that, and it doesn't fully assist how they would be capable on their own. So they're looking at maybe more oral examinations, more in-house handwritten examinations.
Handwritten examinations.
No, the oral, of course, that you can't just type it in.
Yeah, exactly.
Listen, we'd love to get your take on it as well. Are your kids, or are you using ChatGPT, and what use have you found for it as well? It's very, very interesting. Elaine Burke, thank you very much for joining us. Host of For Tech's Sake podcast.
Thank you very much.
Now, after the break, Andrea Gilligan is back to discuss the biggest stories of the day.
I wonder what they are going to be.
Well, you're going to find out in a few minutes.
Welcome back to Ireland AM. Joining us now with a look at what's making the news this morning. There is other news bar RTÉ. It is News Talk's Andrea Gilligan. Thank you so much, Andrea.
Great to have you back, Andrea. But first, the UK newspapers have been leading with the headlines regarding a BBC presenter who's been suspended following accusations of paying a teenager for explicit images. Join us now with the latest from that. From London is media consultant Enda Brady. Good morning to you, Enda. Listen, can you bring us up to speed with what is going on with this story and what happened last night?
Yeah, a couple of big developments, Tommy. So, morning, everyone. In the last 24 hours, first thing that happened was the Metropolitan Police put out a statement saying that they'd held a Zoom meeting online, basically, with BBC management, gathering information, and they will continue to gather information. But for now, the police say they will not launch an investigation. So that was the big headline initially. And then last night, out of nowhere, it emerged that the BBC had received a lawyer's letter from the young person at the centre of this alleged scandal, saying that the story in the Sun newspaper was, quote, rubbish, and that nothing inappropriate and nothing unlawful had happened between the young person and the unnamed BBC presenter. So I think the pressure now very much is on the Sun newspaper to come out with perhaps more detail. What do they know? Have they acted out of hand here? Have they done anything kind of not by the journalistic code of ethics and book of doing things right? You know, just where have they got this story from?
Yeah.
And today, of course, is publication of the BBC annual report. So the Director General, Tim Davey, will be in a room full of journalists who normally would have been asking questions about how much Gary Lineker earns, for example. And now they won't be. It'll be all about this.
And Enda, in talking about this, because there's a few things, there was reports that the Metropolitan Police, or the police, had gone to the parents before and said there is nothing here to investigate. And now there's also questions. The parents are putting out these questions about, well, where did they get the money for a lawyer? Who's paying for that? Like, this is all very muddied. And we're getting into a world of an awful lot of pictures floating around social media, specifically of someone, it being completely and utterly defamatory. So this story is like, it's taken on complete legs of its own and no one quite knows where to look, right?
Yeah, very good point, actually, Mirren. So I think the main problem with the story for me is that all the information is coming from one source because it's the Sun newspaper exclusive. So other journalists have not been able to speak to the mother who is consistently quoted, the stepfather, or the young person. So you've got all the information basically centralised and kept by the Sun newspaper. Nobody knows the identity. I'm told journalists at BBC News don't even know the identity of the young person and the mother. And then this lawyer's letter arrives out of the blue last night just saying that everything is rubbish. And then the mother has come back today, we learned via the Sun newspaper, with her quotes questioning where her child, and we still don't know the gender of the child, where her child has got the cash to spend on a big wig legal firm in London to represent them. So it's all very kind of mysterious, lots of twists and turns, but something tells me that in the next 24 hours we're going to know an awful lot more.
Okay, because I mean it's a massive accusations by the Sun newspaper, so I mean they really need to come out with more probably, or else the BBC. Yeah, be interested to see over the next 24 hours what does come out of this as well. Listen, Enda Brady, thank you so much for joining us again with that story. No doubt we'll get back to you maybe later in the week whenever we hear more.
It's almost, we've got our bat phone. We've got our bat phone ready to go. Be like, Enda,
what is going on over there?
He's as good as gold. We'll talk to you soon, Enda. Thank you so much for that. There are also...
Have a great day, guys.
Bye, Enda. There's not just media organisations in the news. Of course, we've got RTÉ here, the BBC in the UK. Andrea Gilligan, lovely to have you back. There is news this morning. Pandemic babies facing gaps in communication skill. And this is done by Irish researchers.
Yeah, it's CHI Ireland, UCC and the RCSI, and they looked at about 600 odd babies up to the age of 2-year-olds born, infants born prior to the pandemic, and then 312 2-year-olds. And they basically assessed their developmental skills, and what they found was that for babies born in the first 3 months of the COVID-19 pandemic, during the lockdown effectively, that there were gaps in their communication skills. Now, when you cast your mind back to that period, we're talking about a time of mass lockdowns, we're talking about mask wearing. And one of the things that the researchers found was that presumably the access to visual and facial cues for babies obviously were massively restricted during that period, and that has now led to gaps in the communication skills for young babies born in the early part of the pandemic. They also found as well through the survey that a quarter of 1-year-olds born during the pandemic had never met or had any interaction with a child their own age for the first year of their lives, which, if you think about that now in 2023, just seems so utterly bizarre. That
To be fair to, we had a child literally at the start of the first lockdown, and I'd say it was a year before he met my wife's parents, and I think certainly 6 months before he met another kid.
Yeah,
so it is.
So you're born out. The stats are born out with you.
It was. I mean, and we will only tell the detrimental effects the likes of lockdowns and those things had, particularly on children, but. Interesting research.
It is.
Personally, though, I don't find that, like, can't shut him up. I don't think there's any problem with his communication.
That's a genetic code gene, though.
I was going to say, who's his father?
Runs in the family.
Yeah. And there was a good report out yesterday about 13-year-olds from the lockdown and saying that they're in secondary school, that their communication skills are actually, they've caught up, it's all good, things are going well. So it's something that we're going to learn about more.
Another thing that had a big, I suppose, impact during the lockdown as well was shopping. People going online and doing all the shopping online, but it seems people are going back to their old habits.
Yeah, going back to the old traditional high street. This is Amoric Research for Pennies. They interviewed about
for pennies.
For pennies, yeah.
Nice.
They carried out a survey of about 1,200 people and asked them about their online shopping habits. 46% of people are now less interested in shopping online, and I am very much in the 46% of people who are not an online shopper.
Yes.
Yeah, I've never been an online shopper. I only shopped online when I had to during COVID, you know, to get the odd thing or whatever.
So when you buy something,
clothes.
you shop online, you hate it, it doesn't fit, it doesn't look like it did in the picture, and then it just sits there because you're too lazy to send it back, and that's a bad thing. I understand that. But basically, Phil came out the other day and he was like, here's 3 bags. What the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
Send them back now.
Well,
and he's right.
55% of the people in this research said that the hassle, as you just mentioned, of actually buying items online. 39% talking about the increased cost of now returning goods. People also citing, only 21% though of this survey I thought was interesting, cited concerns around the carbon footprint of actually online shopping. But people prefer to go into a shop, pick up an item, try it on, feel the item, and actually I suppose the effect you get of being able to go home and go, I have my item, as opposed to the
waiting,
the week-long wait that you normally have to do to get the purchase as well. So I think a lot of retailers are going to be quite happy to hear about this news.
Absolutely.
I prefer it. Look at this. The proportion of all sales done online is only 5.2%.
And you'd imagine it would be a lot higher.
Tiny, yeah, it is.
The dress arrives, you've got a wedding on Saturday, you look like Wreck of the Hespers. It's not worth it.
Listen,
it's not worth it.
Supporting local as well. That's what it's all about too.
Yeah.
So yeah, let us know what you think about that. Are you still shopping online? Do you still have the delivery man coming every day to the door like I am? Not me, my wife. Anyway, are you preferring to go into the stores? Let us know. 096 Andrew Gilligan from News Talk Lunchtime
Thank you
Live.
so much.
Thank you so much.
Be back with you in just a minute on Ireland AM. Hello, welcome back to Tuesday's Ireland AM.
Coming up very shortly, All-Ireland Dublin footballer Siobhán McGrath is telling us how, at the age of 35, she mistook stroke symptoms for feeling tired after a training session. Incredible. We're going to hear that story coming up very shortly.
Yeah, and from crime-biting canines to snails and sea creatures, we've got the perfect summer page-turners for your children with a kids book review at 9:20.
Also on the way, we have a treasure trove of destinations around the country for anyone planning a day trip.
Now it's time to find out what's cooking. Alan, what have you got for us today?
Well, Muireann, Audrey's here with us this morning, and it's a cheesecake with a difference, Audrey.
Yes, so it is from Spain. It's called burnt Basque Cheesecake from San Sebastian.
Burnt Basque Cheesecake, and this is it here.
There it is.
And you said 7 ingredients, all into a tin, very simple to make.
Very easy, but very beautiful.
Okay, so we'll be all making this a little later on.
Yes, we will.
Hopefully. It looks delicious, actually. I'm going to give it a little try now before 8:35. Now, all morning, Derek's been channeling his inner Don Conroy. Derek, how are you getting on?
Yes, Al, it's all about painting on plein air here in Portmarnock, North County Dublin. Captain, what are we going to be doing this morning?
Well, we're doing this beautiful scene behind us, and we're going to be working with acrylic scar. It's much more suitable for outdoor painting. It does dry very fast, but I have something which is really handy. You just get a little bit of a spray bottle there, and you can spray it, so that keeps it wet. So definitely something different this time. The last time we worked with the palette knife, so we're looking at lean to fat, and I think it'd be a fabulous exercise for
Captain,
everybody.
that looks great. And I know you were looking for a life model here this morning.
I was.
Tommy couldn't volunteer, so I volunteered. Trying to pay me like one of your French girls. The canvas for modesty as well.
Is he naked under the apron, or is that dungarees?
Is that an apron, or are they?
He's naked. And is he naked? Derek, stand up.
Behave yourself.
Derek,
Outside,
not going to
girls.
stand up. Paint me like one of your French girls, Jack. Fabulous. Oh my God. Thanks, Derek. You know what?
Go back to painting the sunset, I think.
You're not paying your television license for it. It's more fun.
We compare 14 insurance quotes to get you the best deal. So choose chill and work smarter, not harder.
Thank you, Chair. We're live here in Portmarnock right across the morning. It's all about painting on plein air here right over the next couple of hours. So grab your paints, grab your palettes and join us for a live art class at 8:45. That's all to come in the next wee while. Now, getting past 8 o'clock here together, and we're seeing some light spots of rain and drizzle here, North County Dublin. Elsewhere, plenty of showers through the northwest, through Donegal into parts of Derry up around the Inishowen Peninsula. Cork, Kerry, South Limerick in the firing line as well in terms of those showers, and eastern parts not escaping either. Where that rain does hold off, we're going to see cloud cover, limited bright breaks on the breakfast menu now in that northwesterly airflow. Now right across today, in fact, it is that game of tick and tag, cat and mouse with that sunshine and showers. Once again, the heaviest of any rain lodged in this time today through parts of Leinster and across Munster. Drier, sunnier, brighter as we work our way into the Midlands, the west and up around northern, northwestern spots with top temps. A lot fresher and a lot cooler as well due to that northwesterly airflow. Highs there in and around 16 to 19 degrees. Cross into tonight then, it looks like it will be settled for a time as those showers clear off, but in behind it we've another system of rain building for those Atlantic coastal counties. Winds picking up pace into tomorrow as well, so we have a bit of a rocky ride to work its way into your Wednesday. Take us right across into tomorrow as well, with overnight lows back to 9 to 14 degrees. So that's how it's shaping up for now. We'll be back again live 8:35.
Chill Insurance work harder so you can work smarter. We compare 14 quotes to get you the best deal.
Now it's time to take a look at this morning's papers. We'll start with the Irish Times. Its headline: Tubridy's future on the line as presenter goes before Oireachtas. Director General Kevin Backhurst hopes for transparency and honesty from Ryan Tubridy and his agent Noel Kelly at today's Oireachtas hearings.
RTÉ staff now key to Tubridy's future as Star faces Dáil grilling. That's the front page of the Irish Independent. Mr Backhurst has said consideration will be given to the views of RTÉ staff and if they would be willing to work with Ryan Tubridy when commenting on his potential return.
The Sun similarly leads with Tubbs' Late Late Showdown.
The Examiner, the Mirror, the Daily Mail and the Star also lead with that same story this morning.
The Herald goes with Garda worker paid in cocaine for leaks. A former civilian employee of An Garda Síochána gave out information including the location of Garda COVID-19 checkpoints in return for cocaine, a court has heard.
Yeah, so that story pretty much across all the papers this morning again, Alan. But I think David makes a good point. He said, while the RTÉ controversy has importance, is it really the most important issue in Ireland over the past couple of weeks? What about the 3,500 homeless children, the hundreds of people on trolleys, the shortage of medical staff, the lack of facilities in schools? The list does go on, but this story keeps rumbling on, doesn't it?
This is the front page every day, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who are happy that their story has been buried in the middle of the back of newspapers
But
sometimes.
does this not lead on to other questions?
The government do too.
And we've said here for quite a long time, you've got government officials who are questioning people. They're meant to have oversight over RTÉ, not the executive board. But they're also in charge of budgets for the HSE. We spent billions on the HSE. Yeah. We've seen how much of a overrun in the Children's Hospital. Like, can we trust anyone to actually have any oversight and get value for money in this country? Because we can't be trusted with a capital project. And
well, listen, when we had the Senator Malcolm Byrne in earlier on saying that we were never aware of any of this stuff when he's on the media committee. I mean, realistically...
But they can only do what the executive board have told them. The executive board said that they
didn't know any of it either.
I don't think anybody knew, looking at the numbers, they didn't quite add up. I mean, listen, I think this might open up a position where state spending will all be put under a lot more intense
scrutiny. And it should be.
And that will be good. That will be the good thing that maybe comes out of this, that all state bodies like that will have somebody to oversee it. Like Margaret says here, and it's just a very... I'm sure a lot of people are thinking this around the country. I'd love to know if anyone in RTÉ thought about pensioners like myself who religiously buy our TV licence stamps. You know, you can go and get the stamps whenever you have a few bob. Even if it meant sacrificing a meal, to be perfectly honest, it's soul-destroying to think that people are behaving like this.
That's very harsh. And they never get across, you know, I suppose it's 40 cents a day is what the TV licence is, and it is a legal obligation to have this in the country. But as we know, Judge Anthony Halpin last week said that, you know, 159 people were up in front of him for not paying their TV licence, and he called them all a bunch of freeloaders, not the people in RTÉ.
It will, of course, be on Virgin Media as well, the Oireachtas
from 11
committee meetings from 11 o'clock today, and Morris has just said, I hope the committee have respect for both Tubridy and Kelly. They've appeared voluntarily, and you would hope the politicians don't use today to try and make it all about themselves.
And Andy's saying, why should Ryan lose his job when he has done nothing wrong? Can anyone honestly sit there and say they wouldn't take the extra money if offered? And every single person I've talked to is like, yeah.
Yeah, take the extra money, but then declare it. Don't sort of say, and when you're reading out the top earners in RTÉ, don't sort of go, oh, the top earners in RTÉ, here they are, knowing that, oh, I've been paid more than that, but I'll just keep that quiet to myself.
I'm interested to see when he found out about it. Before he announced it.
Listen, we've loads of things here about ChatGPT as well, and also online shopping and everything. We love when we hear from you, so it's 0896 111 111.
Thank you very much for your text. Now, up next, All-Ireland winner Siobhán McGrath shares her story of suffering a stroke at just the age of 35. We're going to hear from her after this break. You're very welcome back to the show. Now, our next guest is an All-Ireland football champion who woke up last June to experience several symptoms of a stroke.
Thankfully, Siobhán McGrath acted fast and has since made a full recovery. Siobhán is here to tell us about it and is joined by clinical lead of the National Stroke Programme, Professor Rónán Collins. Thank you both so much for being here. It's lovely to have you. As we explained in the intro there, Siobhán, and when I was reading about this, 35 years old and having a stroke. It's not something that enters your head. So can you tell us what happened in June of last year?
Yeah, so I woke up that morning extremely tired, just more tired than usual. I didn't really think much of it. I thought maybe just, tough training session the night before. I'll just get on with it. So I got up, went into the bathroom, did my usual routine, and I still just didn't have any more symptoms. I was just tired. So then when I came out and started to get dressed, that's when I started to notice some symptoms. So it was initially when I started to put my T-shirt on, I noticed my fingers went in different directions. My arms, I couldn't really control them. My T-shirt got tangled in my arms and my fingers, and my brain wouldn't comprehend how to actually untangle this T-shirt and put it on. So I gave up on that, and I just needed some air, and I walked over to my window. Again, I could move my arms because I could try and open the window, but again, my brain wouldn't tell me how to push the button to open the window, and my fingers wouldn't really work. So while doing that, I set off my alarm. So my legs were fine. I could walk around. I still had some control, like I knew there was something happening. Went downstairs, tried to turn off my alarm. Again, my brain wouldn't put together the sequence of my alarm code. My fingers wouldn't really work. So I just tried to calm myself down, which I did. I got my alarm off, went back upstairs, then decided, look, I better have a look at my face, see was there anything falling on one side, or that looked fine. So then I kind of went and asked myself, are you having a stroke? And then it was just double Dutch coming out of my mouth. There was no words.
So were you aware of symptoms of a stroke? Say your face, speech, there's kind of a checklist there.
Yeah, I felt that I knew
something not right here.
Yeah, I felt that I knew something was wrong. Like I knew. And I would be a person that probably would fob off stuff, but there was just something about this. I just knew there was something not right.
So what did you do?
So I tried to keep calming myself down because I knew I needed to ring somebody, but I needed to be able to unlock my phone. I needed to be able to get words out. So I kept trying to talk to myself to get even a sentence out. I might get a sentence out and then I try again and double Dutch again. So I just kept calming myself down. And when I felt like I was able to unlock my phone and get words out, I rang my mum. And she got the concept that there was something wrong and I needed to go see a doctor or go to A&E or an ambulance, so she would. But by the time she had come down, my symptoms had kind of gone away, bar the fact that I couldn't.
Gone away?
Yeah.
Yeah, bar I couldn't, I could talk, I could converse, but I couldn't, it wasn't fluid. That was the only thing that was still not really there.
I think it's phenomenal that your brain actually went to that you thought this at a woman who plays for a Dublin team, who's 35 years old, who's young. I don't think my brain would be able to compute that. It's amazing that you did that. When you got into the hospital then, did they kind of go, okay, did they clock something that this is stroke then? Or did you kind of say to them, I think I've had a stroke?
I think at the time, again, it wasn't really showing much symptoms. I think some people probably did and some people didn't when I got to A&E. But to be fair, they just kept wanting do more tests. So like when they came back and said your bloods are fine, your CAT scan was fine, they still wanted to keep me there to make sure and get the MRI, and then that's what showed it up.
Okay.
So tried your stroke up.
Yeah.
Rónán, like when you hear this from, you know, incredibly fit, 35 years of age, it's not the typical person you think of having a stroke. Is this something that you're seeing more of, or is this always been the case?
Well, it's always been the case, but first of all, thanks to Siobhán, because, you know, she's a very high-profile sports person, obviously, and it's brave to come on and talk about your own medical history on television, and we're very grateful both in the stroke programme and indeed in the Irish Heart Foundation to Siobhán, because she highlights several important points. That, number one, stroke can happen at any age. Number two, that it's important to recognise the symptoms of the stroke, and the speech disturbance was a key one here for Siobhán. And, you know, and then to come to hospital as soon as possible. One of the things we're very concerned about is back in 2013, the median time to arrive in hospital after the onset of stroke symptoms was about 2 hours, 20 minutes. And we know that last year, that median time had gone up to 3 hours, 30 minutes. Now, this is very important because about 2 million brain cells die every minute. They're deprived of their oxygen supply. And stroke treatment, just to say to the public, I think we need to say this as well, stroke treatment has improved immeasurably, and we can do a lot more, but it's very time dependent. So we do need people not to be kind of...
What's that time window?
Well, the time window varies from person to person, to be honest, but the real message is the sooner the better, because in different people, the blood supply can be affected more severely or less severely. So I'd want to move us away from an absolute time window to, listen, just act fast and ring an ambulance.
But when Siobhán has these symptoms, but then all of a sudden starts to feel normal again, can you understand how people think, oh, maybe it was just an episode?
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
don't take the risk, is that what you would say?
And absolutely. And although Siobhán is much younger, obviously, and she rationally worked, this is also happens in much older people where stroke is more common, that people rationalise away the symptoms. Oh, I slept on my arm. Oh, I'm tired and therefore my speech is a bit slurred. But really the suddenness of something strange like that happening. And I think if you asked Siobhán, she'd probably tell you instinctively she knew there was something wrong. Yeah. And, you know, nobody's going to criticise you if you think you were having a stroke and you rang the ambulance, because our pathways are set up to deal with that very, very quickly. And actually you're doing yourself, most importantly, but the whole health service a favour if we can prevent the stroke from happening.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
being involved in a stroke. Because I suppose you said there's pathways, because clearly, like, you don't want to be sitting in a waiting room in A&E.
And that's the important point about ringing the ambulance, because the ambulance will respond, and Tommy was asking us this offline, the ambulance will respond to a fast symptom. They will pre-notify us in the hospital, and we've set up the programme such that all the acute hospitals have a pathway strictly ready to deal with acute stroke.
How common is it that we see younger people? Because you generally think of a stroke over 65, for instance.
Yeah, that dreaded line of over 65 or under 65, which I think we badly need to change. But anyway, it's
just in the notes here. I'm just reading. I'm in trouble now,
Because, you know, increasingly, of course, people are much healthier and living much more productive, still working in their 70s and 80s. But I suppose the majority of strokes are age-related, because they're related to risk factors that are associated with getting older, that the arteries are wearing out as you get older, and things you might have done in your youth catch up on you as you get older. But it's also true to say that you know, about a quarter of strokes occur in younger people, or what would be perceived to be younger people.
That's a huge amount of number. And we all remember on the TV, the FAST campaign, wasn't that face, arm, speech and time? And Siobhán, you seem to really get the fact your brain clicked in like that is unbelievable. How have you been? This was last June. We've been chatting to you outside. You went back playing football.
Against my
I know. Sorry, I'm not even like what? You're like a dream cat. Like, I wish you'd never gotten it, but this is unbelievable, the recovery.
No, well, I'm just, you know, when you think you're in a semi-final, you play.
No matter what.
Your GAA people are unbelievable.
So
what was it like?
What was it like?
I think the vocabulary took a bit while, especially more in a professional sense. I felt I was thinking a bit more about, like, getting sentences out or what I wanted to say. Wasn't as fluid. I think that's gone now. Fatigue, headaches, they are what I experienced for probably 6 or 7 months past it. I actually do think going back playing football helped with my fatigue.
Oh, they're not looking at each other in the eye at that one. It's like, oh,
we can discuss that off.
Rónán psycho.
No, I think I did try to slow down. Like if I'm tired, if I'm, feeling amped, and I do try and like tell myself, look, listen to your body a bit more. But like I did try and get back into my routine and my life the way as quickly as I could, just to get me back on track, and I feel absolutely 100% now.
So when it comes to Siobhan being extremely fit, what preventative measures, is there anything that people can do to kind of help not be in this situation?
Well, I think for the majority of strokes, they're related to blood pressure as a key risk factor. So if I was to pick one thing out, you should know your blood pressure, particularly as you get to middle age. And obviously don't smoke. Don't drink to exercise, or don't drink to excess, and exercise regularly. Yeah. Okay. But in Siobhan's case, the causes of stroke in a younger person are usually related to either a kind of a structural abnormality in the heart or to a rare medical condition. It's very important to create the message that, of course, it's good to go back and resume exercise. I was just nervous I almost went to the sideline of Thomas Davis's club myself to keep an eye on her while she was playing.
And then she played brilliantly.
Probably best game of her life.
Siobhan, I do have to ask you as well. John Kiley has just come out in the paper as well, backing the women's footballers and camogie teams in their protests against the situation in the women's game at the minute. Like, is this something that you believe, as a Dublin footballer, like needs to change the facilities that we're seeing?
I think, I'm not in the county game anymore, but and I do think it depends on like your county's backing and the funding that's there. But like these girls are going out trying to give everything, their commitment, like as a sports person, your life, you give up everything, you give up your whole life.
In the exact same way a man is doing
exactly the exact same way, the same effort. You're working 5 days a week or more maybe sometimes. You don't get any leeway. You are working really hard, and then you're still going out there doing 5 days a week probably of training. And they deserve the recognition.
Support for it.
And they're looking for, as they say themselves, minimum standards, not even equality, minimum standards, what camogie and
having someone like John Kiley, again, I know it's not good that it's from the men's game, but you need the support.
You do need
from
the support.
Both
you
sides
need support from everywhere.
Really, really important.
Siobhán McGrath, who clearly got the memo that we're all in the army today. Fair play to you. We kind of did
full
like
camo.
this. It's unbelievable. Can anyone see us on screen? It's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
It's kind of very inspirational as to how you are. It's so good. And Professor Rónán Collins, who's going to tackle you if you go back to sport too early, professional clinical lead at the National Stroke Programme. It's been a pleasure talking to you this morning. Thank you so much
for coming in.
Perfect coffee every time. Tassimo sponsors cookery on Ireland AM.
Thanks for staying with us now. We have a dessert classic in the kitchen this morning with a little twist, and mine is nearly all gone.
Audrey Cahill is here, and she's making a burnt Basque cheesecake.
Yes.
Okay, tell us, what's that?
This cheesecake is originally from Spain, in a city called San Sebastian.
Oh yes, the Basque region. Love it.
Exactly. So what's different about it is the top is burnt purposely for the caramel flavour.
There's also another big difference.
Yes,
it's missing my favourite bit.
The crunchy biscuit bottom.
The biscuit bottom.
But it's worth it.
It's worth it. Of course it is. It definitely is, because Alan's polished it off. I've never seen it.
Lovely.
It's so fast.
So in this bowl, I just have some full-fat cream cheese. I'm using Philadelphia.
Okay.
And I just added some sugar, and I'm mixing it until all of the granules has melted and it's homogeneous.
Now, could you use the machine to make it easier, or how? Like, what sort of level?
You mean a whisker?
Yeah, the whisk.
You could, but
Whisker. It's called a whisker.
You can use an electric mixer.
An electric mixer.
The whisker. You can use that as a term.
Electric mixer. There we go. Yes.
But I prefer to use. Do it by hand because I don't want to incorporate too much air into it.
Okay, right.
At the very end of this, like after I've made the batter, I'm gonna knock out all of the air. So I'm gonna tap it out on the table. Just because if you have any air bubbles trapped inside, that will cause the cracking at the top. Okay. Because they rise up as it bakes.
Okay, so
So if you want a smooth top like this and like evenly caramelized, then you want to get rid of all that air bubbles.
So would that not be good to use the electric mixer then? So it does get all the air bubbles out of it, or no, does the tapping at the end?
So the electric mixer incorporates air into it.
Air into it.
Yeah.
Sorry, okay.
So in this batter, I'm just adding the egg one by one.
You're doing it one by one.
Yeah, just so that I know that it's incorporated evenly.
Okay.
So I don't have like egg yolk and egg white.
Very good.
You're here for a while then if you're adding all them.
Do you want Alan to do it? He can help out as well. We'll all take turns.
If you'd like, I don't mind.
Go on,
no, but then what else? That's all she's done.
Yeah, it's not difficult
I'm an actual person whisker.
You're a whisker.
I'm a person whisker.
It's pretty easy. It's not too difficult to whisk. Like you just want to whisk it until it's nice and glossy. Like you can see there that it's.
It's lovely.
So is that the sort of level, or because sometimes when you have to whisk, it can take forever.
No, this one.
Okay.
I know, like some places they just add all the ingredients together and whisk it, but I feel like this is easier to.
Get that finish and
add the ingredients gradually.
So what else are you adding now?
So now I'm adding some salt, just the seasonings.
Salt?
Yeah, so I believe the cream cheese that they use in Spain is a lot more on the savory, salty side.
Okay, right.
So, and also like whenever I make any dessert, I add salt to accentuate the flavor.
Yeah. And what's that now?
This is vanilla bean paste.
Vanilla essence.
I don't know if they use that, like in the traditional recipe.
Let's pretend.
But I really like. I really like vanilla.
Spanish love the vanilla.
And now I'll be adding the cream. So I'm just adding 300 ml of double cream, and I want to use double cream because you need the fat in this.
Okay, the thickness in it.
Yeah, exactly. Because it is like a decadent dessert,
is.
But it's a lot lighter than the New York cheesecake.
The New York cheesecake.
Yeah, it's good.
So
now, what do you think?
That's halfway done now. And now, lastly, I'm just adding some plain flour, and I'm sieving that in just to make sure that there's no lumps.
Come on,
but it's such a small amount of flour that you're not really worried about any clumps forming. But this is just an insurance.
And that's basically it then. It's whisked, it's done.
Yeah.
How long does it go into the oven for then?
So this one will bake for 30 minutes at 210 degrees.
210.
So you want it quite high.
You do want it nice. You want the brown. That's the burnt thing, is it?
Exactly.
But you don't want it too brown, obviously. You don't want it too burnt.
You don't want it completely burnt, but you can go as far as you want, depending on the flavor that you'd like. So the darker it is, the more bitterness, caramel flavor.
Yeah.
So now this is completely mixed, and you can see that it's quite wet.
Yeah, it is wet.
So the flour, I know some people that don't add any flour, but it's just there to improve texture at the very end.
Yeah, it's
so
important to kind of have the structure, because that's what I find with cheesecake when I've made the other type where you don't stick it into the oven, it kind of like falls apart.
Like too liquid.
Yeah.
So the reason for the flour here is to prevent that.
Okay.
Because if there isn't any flour in the recipe, then it's more likely to be runny.
Okay.
Like especially when it comes up to room temperature, because you would want to serve this at room temperature. So now I'm just adding it, or
so that goes
popping
into
it
the
onto,
oven then.
onto a tin.
Tapping now.
And also the size of the tin matters because of the cooking time. So this one is a 9.5 inch, 24 centimeter. And then I've also double lined it with parchment paper.
Tell us again why you're tapping it.
Just to get rid of the air bubbles. Like you can see there, all of the air is coming up to the top and popping.
Okay.
Just so when it bakes, that air doesn't come up when it's already cooked and then cause crack.
Okay.
Can I just ask you, the glaze that we have on the top of the one here, have you put anything on that when it came out?
No,
it
that's
comes out
completely
like that.
from the baking process.
Right, okay. So you haven't put any butter or anything on it or any...
No. So I'm just popping this
So into the oven
Into
for
the
30
oven.
minutes, you said, at 210.
10 degrees. Yeah.
And you have a beautiful cheesecake like
And
that.
then it comes out
and
like
I think
this.
me and Tommy are...
Yeah.
There we go.
I thought
Empty
I'd try
plates.
and keep a bit so we didn't have two empty ones. But,
You can grab another slice. Go ahead.
It's gorgeous.
That's really lovely.
Audrey.
Thank you, Audrey. Thank you so much for
Thank
that.
you for
Really
having
nice.
me.
Really lovely,
Glad
isn't
you
it? Thank
enjoyed
you
it.
so much. Now up next, Derek has an art attack in Portmarnock. We'll see in a few minutes.
Perfect coffee every time. Tassimo sponsors cookery on Ireland AM.
You're right, welcome back to the show.
Now, his weather reports are a work of art, but today our weatherman is producing his own masterpiece.
Da Vinci O'Hartagon, cut us a thought too. You're doing okay?
Absolutely, guys, loving that. Our paintings are going to be hanging in the Louvre very, very soon. Anyway, it's all about painting on plein air here in Portmarnock this morning. Catherine Order from Dublin Art Classes is with us. Catherine, what a lovely way to spend a morning.
I absolutely love being at the original source, I have to say. We have a great group this morning. We have a lot of students who are new to this and a lot of students are quite advanced to it, you know?
For a few of them, it's their first time painting outdoors as well because they're used to painting in the studio setting.
Yeah. So what we do usually is, like you can see the setup here, you know, we take a lot of photographs. We use our viewfinder, okay, just to get like the view, okay? And I think that's a great tip, is the fact that, you know, use this viewfinder. You can see the different values here. I always say to all my students, squint so you can see the tones. So this is a really good little tip for everybody.
It's a good tip to have.
It is.
Let's talk about the backdrop and the setting before we get into the painting as well.
Yeah.
This is a gorgeous, gorgeous backdrop to paint.
It's absolutely stunning, I have to say. I love the atmosphere. I love the lovely ray of light coming in. You can see the bit of orange there. You can see the lovely hue of orange with the lovely contrast with that sharp horizon line. You can see the land over to the left and you can see the lovely land to the right. But I just think this part in the centre is the focal point.
Nice, and nice movement in the water as well.
Absolutely beautiful.
Let's get on to the canvas. Where do we start?
Well, this is the exciting part, okay? Right, okay, so we're going to be working with acrylics, okay? The tip is get yourself a bottle, bit of water, and spray it.
And what does that do, Catherine?
It just keeps the paint wet, okay? So when you're doing soft edges or you're blending, it just keeps it wet. Acrylics are very dry, okay? So you have to work really fast. Another tip is get yourself a lot of cotton cloths, cut up to the size of your hand, okay? Always have an apron so you can throw it in there. I'm going to actually basically use a little bit of water. We're going to have a little bit of orange and yellow and a little bit of white, okay? Don't worry if it gets dirty, okay? Because it's a lean amount of paint, okay? And we're just going to do a thin wash.
So it's kind of like washing, washing the canvas, right?
It's a wash, okay? And if you notice now, I don't know if you're familiar, but Monet walked outdoors on plein air and he broke every rule. And what he did was he went lean to fat, okay? And he did it like watercolour. So the great thing about acrylics is it's water-based, okay? So you can build up those layers, okay? So as you can see, you've got a yellow hue. White is your friend, okay? Right, okay? It actually makes all your colours a little bit more softer, okay? And it allows you to build it up. So
and you just build up that palette then on the canvas.
Thin layers, okay? It's all about direction, okay? So if you can look at here, if you notice I'm not using any brush, there's lovely movement to it. Now, I have to say, it's like a workout, because you're really putting a lot of energy into it, okay?
Yeah, and as you said, this dries pretty fast too.
Very fast, but look, as I said, look, can
spray the canvas,
and it gives you a
keep
little
it
bit
wet, and it keeps it going.
Exactly.
Now, we're just moving it on because this is as far as we got a little bit earlier on.
Yeah.
And you're introducing a little bit of darkness, a little bit of contrast as well into the canvas.
Yeah, and as you can see, there's a little bit of a green hue to it. And don't worry about that. You're just building up that confidence. You're sketching with the rag, okay? And then you can actually apply then a little bit more thicker as it goes along.
And then we're moving on then. This is one then we made earlier.
A little bit earlier, as you can see. Look at this, Derek.
So it actually rained a little bit earlier on, and
did.
these are droplets of rain, but they've actually added to the painting.
It does, yeah. A little secret there. Don't tell everybody about that, I have to say. But look, there's a lovely effect, you know, the kind of thing. Look, at the end of the day, look, you can smudge it or just leave it there. Like a lot of people would throw a bit of salt onto a canvas and that would give you that effect. But the natural rain gave us that effect.
The main thing you said to remember is that horizon line.
Yeah, you have a lovely low horizon line. So the emphasis is all about the light. So it's all about that sky, okay? So there's your rule, the rule of a blurred. Okay,
so you're creating that depth within the canvas.
We are, with the contrast, with the light and the dark, you know. But as I said, the light changes all the time. There's just that's why the tip would be, you know, do a quick sketch, take a photograph of it, and not more than an hour and a half on something like that could overwork it.
And then you can add in landscape, or if there's swimmers. Or,
exactly.
And we'll just move over here to Lavinia. Lavinia, you've already got the landscape in. This is beautiful. You've created a masterpiece here this morning.
Well, trying to.
How long are you painting, Lavinia?
I'm painting about 20 years now.
20 years.
Yeah.
And you've travelled all over the world painting.
Well, yes, yeah. We've done a lot. We've done North County, Dublin. We've done the west of Ireland. We've gone to Greece, Spain, France, Italy.
You love it?
I love it.
Girls on tour. Yeah, and we're just going to pop over here to Polly. Polly, how are you getting on? That looks fantastic, Polly.
Thank you, Derek. Thank you.
Polly, this is your first time, I believe, painting outdoors.
Yes, this is my first time on plein air painting. So normally I'm a studio painter, probably more pop arty. So this kind of on plein air landscape is very unusual.
Well, you're enjoying it.
Loving it,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
so hopefully more of that. Catherine, before we let you go, where can we find out more online?
Dublin art classes and all social media platforms.
Also across on your social, which is great. Now, I'm loving the fact that we keep going here. We're going to add in more. Hopefully we'll get the painting finished by the end of the show. But we're painting on plein air here this morning, guys. It's a tongue twister in Portmarnock. Back to you in studio.
Thank you. Lovely there
Beautiful.
this morning. Look at that. We should all be down in Portmarnock doing a bit of painting.
It's almost Victorian. I absolutely love it. Thank you.
Yeah, looking
Da
forward
Vinci.
to them being hung up in the walls now around Virgin Media later on today.
Of course I will, yeah. Now, still to come, we're going to have the best new reads for children this summer.
And in fashion, it's all about big, bold prints on the catwalk.
And we're going to discover some of Ireland's day trips with a difference. That's all coming up in the next hour of Ireland AM.
Hello, welcome back to Ireland AM. Here's what's in store this hour.
We are proving reading can be child's play with summer with the rundown of the must-read books for your little one. That's coming out 9:20. Basically, it's kids' books, and we're going to go through the best of them. There you have it. 9:20.
From
me teaching my children how to read badly.
That's not true. From a foraging walk in Wicklow to rubbing shoulders with White Walkers in County Down, we'll be running through some of the best day trips around the country.
Alan, what's going on in the catwalk?
Well, Tommy, I'm obviously the only one who didn't get the memo about the khaki colours this morning. Yous are all in it. And Rob Condon's here. Like yous are all joining the army this morning. What are we doing fashion-wise this morning,
We
Rob?
are taking a look at summer prints. So we've got some 70s retro prints with kind of this kind of chic mono print. And we're going to be taking a look at men's prints as well. So it's all about print on print with menswear this morning. And we've got some perfect pieces, whether you're heading away on summer holidays or whether it's a red carpet event.
Okay, cool. Looking forward to that. That's coming up a little later on. Now, Derek has been painting scenes in Portmarnock all morning. Derek, some of our viewers want to buy some of the paintings.
Yes, well, Al, I believe they're all up for sale. They can if they want. They'll be up on the Facebook page later on this morning. Anyway, Catherine, you're adding in a headline. What are you doing?
Yeah, we're going to put in Lambay Island because this could be anywhere, but once we have Lambay Island in, you'll recognise where it is, okay? So we're just going to put in a little bit of a base. As I said, don't worry about it. It is in acrylics, so you can see it there.
Ah,
okay?
there we go.
And then,
that's so quick, so easy.
It's very, very quick. Now, I am walking really fast, like sketching. Now,
Catherine, is that up for sale as well?
Oh, definitely.
They're all up for sale. Come down to Portmarnock Beach. There's a sale kicking off at 10. Back to studio. That's for sale.
Derek, what's the name of the Facebook page? Because people really do want to buy these. Derek, can you hear me? What's the name of the Facebook page? No, we're going to get the name.
Sorry, guys, I couldn't hear you. Dublin Art Classes online.
Dublin Art
There we go,
Classes
sorry.
online. That is
Nailed
the Facebook
it.
page. The pictures are absolutely beautiful. I think I'll be going on there myself. Thank you very much.
Under pressure.
Derek, I know. I'm sorry, Derek.
We compare 14 insurance quotes to get you the best deal. So choose chill and work smarter, not harder.
Yes, thank you very much, Ger. We're live here in Portmarnock Beach right across the morning. Busy bees painting away. We've got Elaine, Christine and Evelyn. Good morning to you ladies, creating beautiful pieces of art here on the beach. Getting past 9 o'clock here together now. Weather-wise, let's take a look at how it's shaping up, and a pretty decent start. Gorgeous sunrise here onto the east coast. Elsewhere though, still plenty of heavy showers up across the northwest to the southwest as well. So keep the rain gear handy there in that northwesterly airflow. Now right across today, it is that game of cat and mouse, taking tab between that sunshine and showers. This time, showers will be heavy through parts of Leinster and into Munster, some intense bursts for a time. The best of the sunshine, the best of the brightness as we work our way into the Midlands, into Connacht, up around northern areas as well. Top 10 slightly fresher, slightly cooler out there today as well at 15 to 19 degrees. Finally then tonight, it looks like that rain easing off for a time. Clear skies allowing for some patchy mist to develop, but once again another system of showers working their way into the west into tomorrow morning. So we are expecting a rainy start as we tuck our way into your Wednesday, with overnight lows there back to 9 to 14 degrees. So that's how we're shaping up here in a sunny Portmarnock Beach at the moment. We'll be back again live 9:35.
Chill Insurance work harder so you can work smarter. We compare 14 quotes to get you the best deal.
What are you getting?
He's going to the dentist. He's going to the dentist. Now, we were chatting earlier on, and thank you so much to Professor Rónán Collins, who came in to chat to us. He's the clinical lead of the National Stroke Programme, and also Dublin footballer Siobhán McGrath. Siobhán was 35 years old when she suffered a stroke. And Lindsay said, I had a stroke in 2013. I was 45 years old. Like Siobhán, I woke up early, I went to the ensuite and realised I couldn't go to the toilet. I looked in the mirror and didn't recognise myself. I flung the bathroom door open, and thank God my husband was with me. Siobhán is absolutely inspirational. I don't know how she managed her symptoms by herself.
No, it's incredible.
Unbelievable.
It's like, and like, I know you hear those things, the 4 signs of a stroke and the things that you should do, like your face dropping, but that doesn't always necessarily mean it. Like someone was saying here, I was playing golf 18 months ago, started to just see double vision, and I put it down to tiredness, and it didn't go away. I went to the local doctor and was seen straight away when the receptionist saw me, got a doctor immediately, was sent to A&E. Turned out I was having a mini stroke.
Yeah, incredible.
Wow.
Like just Siobhán at the age of 35 and the peak of her fitness levels as well. Ruth says, I had a stroke in March after having my first baby. At the time I thought it was part of my postpartum journey, but realised it was a little bit more serious. I spent a week in St James's Hospital, grateful for everybody there and support from the Irish Heart Foundation. Absolutely. I think that what Rónán just said, if any doubt at all, get yourself to hospital, get yourself to a doctor and get yourself checked out straight
It's actually frightening, isn't it?
We were also talking to Andrea Gilligan earlier on in Making the News. So new research by Pennies has found that 40% of shoppers are less interested in shopping online. They don't have an online platform, do they?
No, Pennies do that. So I wonder why people don't. So don't go shop online.
The pandemic has ended. Listen, I definitely see that there's a lot more interest in people going into local stores again. But internet shopping, Catherine says shopping online has become a necessity in Galway as so many high street shops have left. Options are really limited now.
Isn't that terrible when you see like thriving streets, even in Dublin, that had all those shops and they're boarded up or they're closed?
It's
now.
awful.
That's what these tech companies, that's what these online portals are doing.
I saw someone, they put up a message the other day, I think it was on their Instagram, Alan, and he just said, I'm just after seeing the most horrific thing that Ireland has ever had to go through. I am in a Pennies and I'm after hearing someone refer to it, an Irish person refer to it as Primark. Can you imagine? I'm inside in Primark. No, it's Pennies on.
It's Primark
Pennies
if you're in the UK.
I was
Not
expecting
Primark.
a punchline there.
No,
now.
that is my punchline.
There's lots of other good department stores that you can go into and shop in.
Is there?
Ethne saying, living in a rural area, I will never go back to traditional shopping. Online is so convenient. The postbox is at my gate. Why would I ever do it any other way? And to be fair, like, there's a lot to be said for that. That if you're living in rural Ireland, like, you're not going to be able to travel to Dublin to go and do your shopping or whatever else.
Or it's their nearest biggest town where and a lot of places may be closing down.
You were also chatting about the rise of ChatGPT in universities. I want to say hi to Mark this morning, and Mark says, I'm a lecturer, and all I'll say is the standard of some students' work has made a dramatic jump in the last year. ChatGPT was introduced in the last year. Mark is correlating the two, I have a feeling.
They're going to make them do handwritten assignments.
Or the oral exams,
Because you can't copy when you're just handwriting it out.
Thank you very much for sending in those texts. Certainly brighten up our morning. Now, coming up next, the best children's books for the summer. We're going to be discussing them after the break. Very welcome back. Now, with the kids off school and the summer holidays, boredom is setting in. We are showing you some great books to teach kids of all ages.
I love the way we're judging your summer holidays and what you're doing for your children. So you're real bored, are you? Your parents aren't playing with you. You might be having the best time ever.
Or the parents are looking for something to try and occupy the kids.
As anything could be happening. Here with her top picks, it's Elena Ryan from Children's Books Ireland. Hello, Elena. How are you?
Good morning. I'm grand. Thank you very much.
What kind of age groups are we looking at? Because I know, like, say, for some kids, when they're 10, 11, if they're really into books, they'll set themselves, I'm going to read 5 books this summer. You know, they might do that. Yeah. What are the age ranges that we're looking at?
100%. We are looking at primary school age, really.
Okay.
Kind of 3, 4, up to the top end of 12, 13-ish.
Okay. Got you there. So we're going to kick off with The Slug and the Snail. What's that about?
So this book, it's gorgeous. It's really beautifully illustrated. It actually looks kind of filmic, like an animation. So it's about 2 slugs travelling the roads together. They're brothers. And everything is going great until they meet this older crow in a nest who says, why have you not got a house? Here's my nest. You know, why have you guys not got a home? And they say, well, I don't really understand the question. Why have you got a home? And there's this real sense of, I don't understand where you're coming from. So they potter on, and the younger slug starts to feel ashamed and decides that he's going to build himself a home and he's going to become a snail. And the home will have this rounded path like the journey he's been on. The elder slug carries on as he is. And eventually, this kind of tension blossoms between them that was never there before, because they're seeing themselves through somebody else's eyes. So they're very much kind of going, well, you feel like you're better than me and you don't understand where I'm coming from. So it potters along until they meet the elder crow again. And this sense of belonging settles on them, that one of them says, yeah, I'm a snail now, look at my shell on my back. And the other says, actually, this is all my home. This whole land is all my home.
Okay.
Sounds like there's a message.
Correct. Well, you see, this is based on
the homeless crisis. I was like, is this about the homeless crisis for children?
It's actually about never ever being homeless when you have the land around you, but actually it's a traveller folk tale. So Owen Devardoon is an award-winning writer. He had an amazing book of stories called Why the Moon Travels, and this is based on an experience that he had in that when he was a young boy, he was not invited to a birthday party, even though he was friends with the birthday boy, because he was a traveller. And that was the first time that he recognised that settled people might look down on travellers. So this book is framed in that way. It opens with a young boy in bed and his dad saying, you know what, I'm going to tell you a story about what happens when people feel different and how things can settle, actually, if there's a bit of understanding. So in reading this with kids, if they're young kids, it's the story of a slug and a snail. That's fine.
That's it.
But there's a little bit at the back that says travellers have always been here. They have a particular way of looking at life. They like to move around. So older kids might take something from it.
Okay.
But it's a gorgeous book. It's really unusual in that it's produced by 2 publishers. Little Island and Skeen Press work together to put this together. And it's amazing for traveller kids to be able to see a story of theirs
again
actually out in the world. It's about representation.
Yeah, completely.
Okay,
Gorgeous.
let's move on to the next. Can we really help the dolphins? Yes,
Getting
we
very
can.
existential. I know, I'm sorry, lads. It sounds a bit grim. It's actually lovely. So, Katie James has written this book. It's part of an Osborne series. The previous one was Can We Really Help the Polar Bears? Also, yes, we can.
Okay.
But this one is very much about explaining to younger children in a very gentle, very clear way about why we don't buy a load of plastic and throw it in the sea. Have a flick through. It's not as bad as you might think it is in terms of that eco-anxiety that a lot of kids have now. And, you know, this is why...
lovely.
Which is real. They do have that anxiety.
Correct.
So we're starting to see books come out to kind of address that.
We're seeing the research coming out that shows that that's real. So the books are addressing it. And this illustrator, Roisin Hahessy, who's an Irish illustrator, she's created this cast of 6 kids. And they're talking to some super informative sea creatures who are kind of going, hey guys, it's us, the turtles and the seagulls. This isn't great, all this plastic in the sea. They're going, oh, what's up with that? What can we do? We're only kids. So actually, one of them decides they're going to make a video. And at the end, it's laid out like a comic book strip that they're going, OK, here's the stuff we can do. We're not going to buy a heap of plastic in the shopping. We're still going to eat fish, but it's going to say sustainable seafood.
OK.
We're going to make a racket and the adults will have to listen to us. So it's kind of about using your voice and doing the little things that will actually make a difference if we all do them. So
I
giving
like
them
it.
back their power.
That's good. Imagine what it's like to swim in the sea, toilet waste, that's gross. Stuff like that kids would love.
It's very kid-level language. They're like, wow,
stir
horrendous.
up conversations with them as well.
Cute.
Very
Yeah,
nice.
absolutely.
Okay.
Let's move on. Your next pick, My Friend Looney by Nina Lacour.
Yes, oui. This one is, again, illustrated by an Irish, a Belfast illustrator, Aisling Lindsay. It's about a little girl whose mom's come home and give her a big yellow balloon, and she is super happy about it. And anyone who knows kids and has seen them lose a thing or burst a balloon or have a thing float away into the sky will understand the sense of grief that comes with that and the work that parents have to do. So two moms come home, give the little girl the balloon. She's super happy about it. She's dancing with it. She's having dinner with it. She's bringing it to bed. And then all of a sudden it floats away into the sky. And they're going, oh my God, what are we going to do? So they bring her out into the garden. They say, look, come on, come hang out in the garden with us for a bit. We're going to plant some seeds. And eventually that seed blossoms into a big, beautiful yellow flower. And she kind of gets that buzz back again. She starts seeing yellow in different places. Now, this book is lovely in the sense that it's got two mums in it. No one says anything about it. And that's great. You know, again, it's just representation of different families. And actually, the whole book is about that kind of sense of resilience of kids getting over the loss of a thing, of a person. But again, it's beautiful. The colour in it, the spreads are really bright, really kind of vivid, really lively.
Yeah, like
Very
everything
nice.
has always had a morality tale. Like even if you're looking at Red Riding Hood, you know, it's always been stay away from strangers, all that. So, so everything is
What
like
age
that.
group is that one for?
That's about 3+.
3+, yeah. About my level.
The next one is, this makes me sad, The Lonely Book.
The Lonely Book,
What's that, Elena?
I know, but look at the gorgeous cover on it. This cover is by Nene Lonergan, and again, award-winning.
nice.
Isn't it beautiful? Award-winning writer McGrath. She writes amazing queer stories. And again, this family has two moms and two girls we're introduced to at the start. It's about the bookshop that they run. And this bookshop's kind of special. It has a bit of an Elves and the Shoemaker vibe. They come down every morning. There's a stack of books on the counter. Weird as those books might be, someone always comes in to claim them. Those books are determined for somebody. But one day a book's not claimed. And it's just sitting on the counter. Nobody comes for it. And the family start to feel ill at ease, and the bookshop starts to feel ill at ease. You know, books are flying off the shelves and the till is opening by itself and the atmosphere is just kind of charged.
Equilibrium is off.
And it turns out this book's about gender. And they're kind of going, who owns this book? Does anybody want it? Is it yours? Is it yours? And in the end of the story, we realise that Annie, who's the main character in this story in one sense, and that she's telling us the story, is feeling like something is off with what's introduced to us as her sister. So her sister Charlotte, real girly girl, 16, bit older than her, actually comes out as non-binary, and they decide that they want to use they pronouns, they want to be called Charlie, and everything kind of settles again in the shop. So it's a story of a family kind of grappling with identity. It's a verse novel, so as you'll see flicking through it, Tommy, there's not a lot of text on the page.
Yeah, why is that? It's very short little sentences
poetry.
and
It's
stuff.
poetry. Yeah, it's written in and it's not rhyming poetry. It's not kind of limericks. It's not very heavy. But there's something about the language that has a bit of a lightness. And actually, for reluctant readers, they can fly through this because there's not a lot on the page, but every word is doing something. It's really beautifully written. And actually, even though there are a lot of big themes in it, you're seeing it through the eyes of a younger person. So they're kind of learning in real time as well. They're going, oh, cool. Yeah. It's not just boys and girls. You can have more than one gender. Isn't that nice? You can be whoever you want. Huh, deadly.
Grand.
And they just kind of
move
on. Yeah.
Really quickly, I know we don't have any time. Dogman, it comes in, like, this is, you know, worldwide series. It is
mega, 11 books, 7 years old. However, Tá gaeilge aganis. Yeah, and nachhfuil sé sin go húntaach, so lear an granbheith tá gan an seo. This is a really funny book. Everyone knows Dogman, but it's Dogman in Irish for the first time. And for kids who speak Irish at home, that's a huge deal that they finally get Dogman.
It's brilliant.
And for kids who aren't Gaeilgeoirs and they're maybe second class or so, they're learning, they're going to be well able. Dogman is a comic book format, so you're getting kaboom with fadas on and prab and blam and cool little noises. But also it's great crack to see Dogman in San Garda Síochána. You know, he's a guard now. It makes it quite different. And, you know, it's Jack's a frisoon on post arrives with the letters. So it's particularly Irish context for this. And really lovely to see it finally at Gaeilge.
Brilliant.
Fantastic
So many
to
kids
see
are
that.
going to, you know, Gaeilge schools at Gaeilge. So that is absolutely gorgeous to see.
It's great to
Fantastic.
Love it.
Elena, Ryan, thank you
Loads
so
there for the
much.
kids.
Pleasure.
So really very good. Thank you very much, Elena.
Most welcome. That is some amount of homework to be doing over the summer. Fair play to you.
I'll take them all.
They're beautiful. Thank you. We'll talk to you again very soon. There's lots more to come from Ireland AM. We'll see you back here very shortly. Fashion on the way. There's lovely looks today, from retro 70s vibes to bold block patterns. Fashion is having a love affair with Prince at the moment.
Excuse me. I was trying to hold it.
I thought he was going to say something smart.
Sorry, I was trying to hold it.
You're so
Stylist Rob Condon is here now with some must-have summer looks. Morning, Rob. Thank you so much. I was trying to hold that in for you. Okay, let's move on. Isa is here.
Isa is with us here. And we've got some beautiful looks here from Swords Pavilions. We're taking a look at Prince. So with this, it's a 70s retro print. A really cool and stylish look. Perfect for summer, whether you're heading away in summer holidays or whether you want to wear this co-ord as separates. With the shirt and shorts, it's available from Mango. We've tucked it in this morning. It is a little bit longer, but I think it's just the fit of this. It's a little bit oversized. You can see at the sleeves there, it's a little bit oversized. Tucking this into a pair of shorts, a pair of jeans. And what I like about this print is it's quite a standout print, but because you've got the background is plain, it's a little bit more chic as well. Then we've got the shorts, which are high-waisted at $25.99. You can see the pocket detail to them. They have a little bit of a slouchy appeal to them as well, so they're just a really cool pair of shorts. Also, if you didn't want to go with print-on-print co-ord with this, you could with these shorts. You can see the greens, the pinks. Pick that up in a plain shirt, and it would also work really well. As with the shirt, with a pair of jeans, it's going to look great.
Gorgeous.
It is lovely.
Accessories.
Yeah, very nice.
It's very. Sorry, I bought the shirt a couple of weeks ago. I was going to bring it back, and now I want to keep it. The accessories.
Yes.
All rattan beautifulness.
Really great accessories here. We've got the hat. We've got the shoes first, which are matching in with the mat there. So they're a wicker style platform.
Just bring the mat everywhere with you.
Strappy sandal. These are a great pair of shoes for summer. You're going to get so much wear out of them, and you're going to take them out each summer, I think. Wearing them with a maxi dress, pair of shorts, it's going to work really well.
Gorgeous. And then we've got the hat. Are we going to go to the hat?
Yeah, we've got this hat, a really great hat. Again, it's matching in. We've gone with all that wicker style with the accessories. Really great hat. A little bit of boho vibes with this hat here. And then onto the earrings, which are just bringing in those colours that are in the shirt with the pink. A little bit of a kind of coral style earring there with that disc style. Again, bringing that 70s retros vibe.
Gorgeous. So they're carried on. Everything else is mango, including the bag.
Yes.
Yeah?
It's all mango, including the
That
bag.
is beautiful. Haisa, I love it. What have you done to me? I was going to bring it back and now I'm not. It looks so good on Haisa. Thank you so much for that. We're moving on to another look now.
Yes.
Kyle
is here. And we're seeing this
Beautiful.
everywhere. A lot of high street shops that have this, like the whole look, the shorts, the shirt, everything matching.
Yeah, co-ords are really big in menswear this season, and it's all about print on print. This is another great outfit. All of the looks worn are available at Swords Pavilions. This co-ord is available from Best Menswear. It's from Tommy Hilfiger.
Do you buy them separately?
You can, yeah. You can
So
buy
let's
them as
start with the
separate.
shirt
So
then,
with
yeah.
the shirt here, we've got at €99 available from Best Menswear. Really great print to this shirt, really great fit as well. Now, if you didn't want to go print on print, or if you wanted to go print on print and then have another option, you could wear this with a pair of jeans. You could do a vest top underneath it if you didn't want to go with that print on print. With the t-shirt underneath it from Diesel, it's just a simple basic white tee. They have those in a few different colours, and it's always great in menswear to have t-shirts in different colours that you can throw under a shirt and mix
I love
and
wearing
match.
a white t-shirt under a shirt.
Yeah, it's just simple. And then with the shorts, they're matching in. They're Bermuda shorts, so they're a little bit longer. So what I would say is, if you're a little bit smaller, go with a shorter short. If you are taller, definitely go with this kind of longer Bermuda short.
I really like that whole look. I think it's gorgeous. And then we've got the flip-flops.
And then we've gone with the pair of sliders here, which are available in various different colours, but just a really cool pair there. And I think it just matches in. Lots of white going on in the shirt. You could definitely go with a pair of trainers with this if you wanted it. A pair of cons would go great with it. And it'd work really well for your summer wardrobe.
I think, I'm not sure about the whole thing, but I definitely wear the shirt. I think the shirt's
well, you can wear them, mix and match them a little bit, wear the shirt with jeans. Then we are
Kira
on
is here
to
with this
Kira.
look.
So this is for, we've seen kind of with those two prints there, they're quite bold prints. So if you're someone who wants a print but you want a little bit more chicer and a little bit more laid back, this is as simple as black and white with this dress here from Kilkenny Design. Really cool piece, great length to this. You can see in the middle there's lots of ruching to it, so it's quite cleverly.
On the side, it's really smart.
Yeah, it's on the side of it there.
You can't even see it on the screen there. It's very clever.
Yeah.
It falls really well then.
So it's going to give you lots of different coverage, and then it comes into that A-line, midi length, lots of shape and fit and flair to this dress. And 3/4 length sleeve, you can see they're quite a wide sleeve as well with the dress, but just a really great piece to add to your wardrobe. And then we brought in the colour with the bag there, just showing that you could go with colours with this dress as well.
Okay, we'll get to the bag in one second. We'll look at the shoes.
We've gone with these shoes here, so they're a platform shoe. You can see the kind of tie detail into the front of them here. A really great pair that match in so well. Now, if you didn't want to go with a platform shoe, you could definitely go with a pointed court heel with this, or a gold strappy sandal would work great as well.
Yeah, they're really nice ones there. Okay, we'll go to the glasses.
I love
now,
a big oversized glass.
We've gone with these big oversized sunglasses. They're tortoise shell sunglasses, but I think they just work really chic with this outfit. And then with the earrings there, we've gone with a gold circular hoop earring, which is available from Carrick-Dunn. But I think with this dress, definitely you could go with a little bit of colour if you want to, maybe in a blazer to match in and bring a bolder colour to the look, like we've done with the bag. So
Finally,
you can go, Finally, I've been dying to get to that coloured bag. We've gone with the coral bag here. Really great strap detail into this bag, and it just works really well, the colour, with this look here.
Really nicely done. That's gorgeous. Kira, thank you so much.
Now look at this.
I spotted this.
Where and I can see you wearing this.
This, Heisa, this is gorgeous.
This is
Tell
gorgeous.
us about this, Rob.
Absolutely
Why would you not wear
stunning
this?
dress.
I can't be showing off my side.
Really stunning dress. It's all about that bold block brights with this in the print of this dress. But I think, again, it's making a statement. It's quite tropical print, V-neck line to it, cut out detail into the middle of it. This works. If you are getting this dress, make sure maybe to try the size up. And it is quite a small fit, so be careful of that. And with it, it's from Fifi & Co. Really great boutique. You can see the slit detail into it there.
Then the back on it as well.
Then,
I don't think we've had a chance to close the back.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Or have
no,
we?
have we? Oh, we haven't. Oh, okay.
I
Sorry. I thought that was the look on it. I said lovely.
I got changed in a bin. Give me a second. Didn't get a chance.
Sorry about that, Heisa. I thought that was part of the look.
And then the cutout detail is part of the look here at the front. But a
Would you
really
not help her
statement
close it up there for her
dress.
now?
Do you want me to close it up?
Okay.
There is a little bit of a plunge neckline to it, so if we close that up there. No, not going to happen. Not going to happen today. You can see the slit detail into this here, and then we've got the slip-on
Rob's like,
sandals
why do I
here.
have to deal with Alan Hughes all the time?
I know. Why did you tell me to close it?
No, I was
Thought it was all going to be a moment.
beautiful.
We have the beautiful slip-on sandals here. So what I would say is you want this to be maxi length. So if you're a little bit taller, don't go with a heel, don't go with a wedge. Go with a sandal, a flat sandal, so that you do have that full length dress. Then with the sunglasses, they are $19.95. Really statement pair of sunglasses. And we've added this really cool strap to them as well.
I'm mad for me sunglasses strap now. I wouldn't
Yes,
find
they're
where
everywhere at the moment.
then.
Yeah, and then finishing it off there with the little bag, which is available from Carrick-Dunn. So a nude bag, which just works really well. You can wear that as a clutch, or you can wear it as a crossbody bag as well.
Well, Heisa given a new style to the dress there that we didn't know.
Heisa.
Well done, Heisa. Thank you so much. Rob, thank you so much for that. Thank you. Now, coming up next, we're going to be discovering some of Ireland's most interesting day trips. We'll see you in a few minutes.
See you in a minute.
You're very welcome back to the show. Now, whether you fancy an adults-only day away or an active family day out, there's lots happening around the country to keep you occupied.
And joining us now with some day trip ideas with a difference is travel expert Sarah Hanrahan. Good morning to you, Sarah. Let's get straight into it. So, Victor's Way Indian Sculpture Garden in Wicklow. Never heard of it.
This is near Glenlock.
Enlighten us.
It's an incredible space. There's 14 granite and bronze sculptures, and you go in. It's supposed to be a meditation space, and it brings you on a journey to enlightenment. There's a description on each sculpture sculpture, so you can really get involved in what each one of them means. And it's meant as a kind of relaxation space. So you can bring children, but it's not supposed to be perceived as a playground. These sculptures took 20 years to make. They were made in India and then brought back to Ireland on boats.
So do you just like walk around
there? Well, they're not allowed. No, they can, but it's just...
So do you just walk around and sort of feel all spiritual? Is that the idea?
Like, they are really, really beautiful. It's a really interesting space. The sculptures themselves are amazing, and there's beds where you can do forest bathing within the air. It's a massive space as well. And again, it's dog-friendly too, but only for a certain amount of dogs, because again, he doesn't want it to be kind of used as a...
Who's he or they?
The guy who owns Victor's Way.
And how much does it cost, or how do you get in?
It's €10 per person. There's an honesty box on site. Sometimes there's somebody there that you can pay them, but you can also pay online before you go.
And you can take the dogs and stuff, I presume, to Rónán.
So it's really beautiful. I've been there with my dogs, and it is a really beautiful space. You could spend hours there. The sculptures are amazing. It is a really, really beautiful space.
How big a space is it? Like, how long are we talking?
14 acres. You're testing me now.
No, but I mean, is it like a massive big walk?
It's a massive...
You could go there for the day, nearly.
I'd say you'd definitely be there for 3 hours anyway, yeah, for sure. And there's also there's cafes in around the area, so you can make a day of it when you go up there. It is really beautiful.
So, but this is not a family day. This is if you're into that type of thing.
Kids
you just
aren't allowed.
But they're kind of allowed.
But not really. So you shouldn't be doing this as a family day out there.
Yeah, like you go as a couple or go with your friends or as an individual.
If you like all that spiritual thing, nice and quiet.
But I wouldn't be particularly into spiritual stuff, but I really enjoyed it.
Oh, okay.
Well, the sculptures look class, all right. OK, and it's not too far away in Wicklow as well. Let's talk about heading north then to fans of the Game of Thrones.
I only went there recently. It's absolutely amazing. It's in County Down, and it's the actual studios where Game of Thrones were filmed, which I didn't... Because I knew that we did things with Game of Thrones around the Giant's Causeway, but I didn't realise the studios were in Northern Ireland. So you can go to the actual sets. They have the prosthetics, the armoury, the costumes. It's unbelievable. Obviously, if you're really into Game of Thrones, it's an amazing space.
Yes.
But even if you went with friends and there was varying degrees of interest in Game of Thrones, I really do think they'd enjoy it. It's remarkable.
I think Derek went to this. It's up in Banbridge or whatever as well.
You pass it every day.
Yeah, so I think everybody knows of Game of Thrones. It's one of the biggest shows that's ever been filmed, and particularly that it was done here in Ireland.
And you really appreciate the detail that they go into. You could spend hours there, and there's day trips. So during the summer, there's daily buses that go from
I love this. You go from Dublin.
Yeah,
on
so
the
I
bus
went on the bus return. So you don't need to bring the car. It's a really nice day out, and there's cafes. There's 2 cafes on site as well. So it's a whole day.
Could you take kids to that?
Yeah, there was kids at it. Yeah.
Okay.
It depends on their interest, but it's really interactive. So I think the kids would love it. The kids that were there seemed to love it when I was there.
Is it expensive?
€35, including the return bus from Dublin.
And where does the bus pick you up in Dublin?
Busaris.
Oh, Busaris, and straight up and then back.
Straight up and straight back.
It's only like an hour and a bit, isn't it?
Yeah, 45, an hour, yeah.
And for me, I only watched the first 2, maybe 3 seasons of it. Like, do you need to be a die-hard fan to enjoy it?
Absolutely not. I went with friends, and again, there was varying degrees of interest, and everybody loved it. You couldn't help but admire the detail they go into. The costumes, for me, I'm so into clothes, and even that for me were just incredible. To see them up close, you can almost touch them, but you shouldn't.
Fabulous, yeah, great stuff. Now, moving on, a lot of my friends are doing this. Now, they're Sunday mornings after their night out. They're going and they're doing these hot box saunas. They're jumping into rivers and then the saunas. It's becoming huge at the moment.
Saunas are becoming really big, and there are a lot of travelling saunas that move around Ireland that go to swim spots, but these are in Meath. There's actual jacuzzis, there's barrel saunas, there's box saunas. And what I really liked about this is it's on the River Boyne, so they have a plunge behind the saunas where you can get directly in and out of the water and get back into the sauna. And you can book it privately. When I went the last time, I booked it. There was 5 of us in a group, so we booked it. It's €50 to book it privately, but you can go in and pay €12 for the shared saunas or shared jacuzzis as well.
So that's no harm. If you're in a health club, you're sharing a sauna with people.
Exactly that. And also, it's near the Gurley Bog. So the last time I went there, we did a walk around the Gurley Bog and then went and got into the sauna. Now, the plunge is really fun because it does really egg you on and you can get back in. And you have over an hour in the sauna itself. So it's a nice bit of time and it's a lovely way to spend an outdoorsy
I think because Muireann's mad about going to the 40-foot to jump into the sea and then do the sauna as well. Like, is there, like...
Keep an eye out for the 40-foot.
Is it a new thing, this?
I think people...
It's
the health benefits...
It's a bit of a fad.
It's kind of like the fad with sea swimming, but sea swimming, which became very faddy during COVID, it really stayed on. Like, I know a lot of people who started sea swimming during...
I was walking Portmarnock yesterday, the amount of people in swimming.
Yeah, so I think while it started as a fad, I do think it's... And a lot of the mobile saunas are absolutely booked out. So.
There's huge benefits to hot and cold therapy as well, actually, as well. So,
I'll stay in the heat.
So that is in Meath, hot box sauna, if you want to check it out. I presume, does it cost much to do that?
It's €50 for a group if you want to book it privately, and it's
or $12.50 if you just want to share it with stuff. Now, foraging in Wicklow.
Yes. Wicklow
You're going
Wild
foraging.
Foods. Yes. So every Saturday I do these walks, and they're 3 hours. They're really good for groups. I also think it'd be kind of nice as a team building and like an alternative team building. And you go and you can identify wildflowers and fruits, and they kind of teach you how you can use them in the kitchen.
So you guide along with you.
It's a 3-hour guided walk.
It's a 3-hour guided walk.
And you do harvest flowers and wild fruits.
What's that?
Oh, I don't know.
I think you're putting Sarah on the spot there now. Sarah, what's that now? Did you forage that when you were on your walk?
This is why we pay someone else to do the walk, because definitely this is not my area of expertise.
These are all edible flowers.
These are all edible flowers.
We have Phoebe Forager who comes in here all the time as well. And you could eat that. I wouldn't eat that.
They teach you how to use them.
You always eat them, though.
They teach you how to use them in the kitchen, and also they teach you how you can preserve them for later in the season. So it's very wholesome activity, very outdoorsy again, very connected with nature. And I suppose it gives you insight into things that you would remember after the walks, like you're walking past things, having not known previously you could eat them, and it's exciting, and it is good.
Okay, we do have time, very quickly, Carlingford Lough Ferry cruises.
Yes, these are wild.
Aren't they?
Yeah.
Really? Right. So Carlingford's beautiful.
Carlingford is absolutely beautiful, and they do these cruises. So they do them on Saturdays as well. It's €30 per person, and they have sunset jazz cruises. They do summer music cruises, and you can privately book and organise whiskey, gin, and oyster tasting cruises.
Look, it's absolutely stunning.
Poor Biden when he was there and the weather was terrible. Remember?
Listen, all he needed was the gin cruise. He would have been grand.
I know.
So is this like hen party and stag party heaven?
Well, it can be, but honestly, there's mixed groups on them as well. There's all types. You can book it out for a group, but there's so much to do, and also the oyster one, the gin and oyster one, does make it very interesting for.
I've gone there and tried the oysters.
You mightn't have any friends getting off that boat.
Who do you book that through?
That's with Carlingford Lough Cruises.
Carlingford Lough Cruises.
Which would you pick?
Out of all of them, I think the Carlingford Lough Cruises.
Would you? That's just because it's the last, or because there's gin.
There's alcohol involved as well. Have you a favourite then? Was there one that really stood out for you?
I do really like the hot box sauna, but I also really like the Victor's Bay as well.
Okay,
Sarah, thank you so much for that.
Hey, Sarah, where can people find more?
You can look through all of them to find more. You can contact me on Instagram at I Come Undone.
Okay. I Come Undone. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Hanrahan, now we're in
we know what Muir would be on.
sauna over there.
What are you talking about? Hot box sauna. Glug, glug, glug is what we're going for. Coming up on Wednesday's Ireland AM. Former boxing champ Chris Eubank talks cooking with the stars. Comedian and presenter Kevin McGarren is stopping by. And Jack O'Keefe will be cooking something, no doubt. Thank you so much for spending your time with us. Don't forget, Oireachtas Committee is on here at live at 11 on Virgin Media. Bye.